So on change, right? I absolutely get the point that one of the things people tend to really like about Angular is that it's opinionated. It's kind of clear as you move from code base to code base that those opinions lead to a consistency that you maybe don't get in other technologies, and that's valuable, and that's something we want to keep. But I think that cannot mean that Angular never changes. I think trying to freeze the set of concepts and say that components will only ever work this way or look like this is actually a recipe for stagnation and eventual just people choosing to move off of Angular and do expensive rewrites onto newer technologies, because the reality is the problem changes. The web is evolving, the platform is evolving, browsers are evolving. Tools like TypeScript are evolving, and what worked or was a good answer to the solution, to the problem 5, 6, 7 years ago may not be the case today. And that's kind of one of the things that we see with Zone.js as Angular's reactivity model, is it was a good idea for its time, but as the web platform has evolved, as browsers have evolved, the kind of real costs of this thing are becoming larger and warrant addressing. So I think for me, the question is not like, should we change or not? Is change a good idea or a bad idea? It's how do we change responsibly? How do we change in a way where we hold on to the things that we value, like the opinionated nature, like the consistency between projects, but still allow the framework to evolve in a way that doesn't leave people kind of stranded on a solution that's no longer relevant in today's web. So that kind of is the thinking behind the signals and the reactivity effort. Is we really don't think Zone.js is going to be a viable solution for the next 10 years. We don't think that's the foundation we want for Angular 10 years in the future. And that kicked off the research and everything to look at, what could we use in its place, and we landed on signals. Not because signals are kind of well used in other frameworks. I think they're well used in other frameworks because they are a good fit for this problem. And our signals library is different than Solids, is different than Vue's reactivity model. It is really tailored to the needs of Angular. Even though they kind of look superficially similar on the surface, they really are kind of different solutions under the hood. And we kind of hinted in the RFC, or at least mentioned a little bit, that some of the APIs were designed to be a little bit more flexible and maybe make sense in a non-class-based component context. And I think people saw that little bit as foreshadowing something more than is actually there. So as far as the authoring format goes, we have no, plan or agenda item on the roadmap to do functional components. There's no design for that there. What we do want to do is, similarly to the way we approached reactivity, of looking at it as a holistic, what do we want for the framework for the next 10 years? We want to do the same with the authoring format. There are real problems there that we've seen in the last 7, 8 years of feedback that we want to start addressing. One of them is that it's and I'm sure people have experienced this as well, not being able to use enums, right, that you reference, that you import into a file in a class without first exporting it as a class property, or not being able to call a function without putting the function on the class itself. Kind of being able to easily use utility functions there. That's something that people find very annoying about the authoring format. The standalone components really highlight that you have to double import things in Angular. You have to import components or directives into the file that you're in, and then you have to, add them again in the component decorator to kind of make the compiler happy about what you're using and where. We think there may be ways to solve these problems. And whether that solution takes the shape of class-based components or functional components or something like Vue, or Svelte single file style components, completely up in the air, no idea yet. We need to kind of do our homework and do the research there.
Nice. I think this like clears up a lot of concerns about this keeping close to the core and yet introducing changes and keeping everyone happy. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that answer, and that will most likely calm a lot of people. Miha, I can see you have your hand up. Do you have a comment?